Welcome back, champions. It's war number 4 of season 59, and I am back again with another 8-fight lineup, so let's keep that momentum going. I'm rolling in with a team of Ironheart, Nico, Minoru, and lukecage. Let's jump in and see how we do. And for our first fight up, we're going to be using Ironheart against this Werewolf by night. Not the typical counter for Werewolf here, but because of the node, I'm trying to stay safe, I'm trying to stay smart, and well, I'm just going to bring in somebody that's reverse control immune because, well, I've shown over my past that I've got a history of not being able to handle reverse controls, so just kind of bypass it when you can. This is a fairly straightforward fight. I know I'm going to take some rupture damage. It's not the end of the world. It's not the biggest deal if I do, but we're just going to stack incinerates. We're going to throw special 1, and we're just going to kind of let Ironheart do her thing. Here we get a nice clean dex away from his special 1. You know, a lot of times I will take part of it in the block if I don't feel like my spacing's correct. This time around, I felt I had very good spacing on it all, so we're just going to kind of dex the whole thing. Also, you know, the special 2 is fairly easy to dex, but that's also one that if you do get hit by it, it's going to wreck your day. So prefer to bait special 1s when I can. And here you can see I didn't feel very comfortable with the spacing, so I let a couple of the hits in the block. Tried to counter and was a little late, so luckily I didn't get, you know, smack there, and we're able to get a nice clean takedown of that werewolf. And we jump ahead to node 13. This is what I brought Nico in for. You know, could have brought in maybe somebody else for this, but I wanted to have a little bit of fun. Nico's kind of like the shiny new toy and is just an awesome counter for many cosmic champions. You can see here, I'm throwing on pretty much all her pre-fights, with the except for the immunity to poison and rupture, just because I'm not going to be using her again in war. I'm just going to be using her for this one fight, so we might as well turn on the buff immunity, the absorb, and turn her poisons into incinerate since, well, you know, Medusa's poison immune. So here, we're just going to start off with a nice little parry heavy. We get a little fury buff up. Now we just need her to be a little bit of aggressive here to hit into us. And the plan here is, I know it's not ideal. I know it's probably not the best way to play Nico, but we're just going to throw special 1s. There, I could have let Medusa hit me. Not, you know, because I was invisible. It wasn't going to matter anyway. So, you know, here, once again, it's just habit. I'm dexing away from it. You know, no reason to really. Here we do a little bit of heavy and then cancel into the special 1. And this Medusa is just melting. Like I said, you know, you can let her hit into you when you're invisible. You know, the hits are going to miss. Just, to me, in war, no sense taking risks that I really don't need to. So I'm just going to kind of step away. The fight went very well, went very quick, and went very clean. And we jump ahead to section 2, and we're going to be using Ironheart against Bishop. You've seen this fight before. The hardest thing in this fight is to remember to turn on the rupture repulsor so that you don't, you know, kind of melt yourself by putting incinerates on Bishop. So, you know, nothing here that is difficult at all. This node doesn't really do much, at least during this fight. There are other fights that you'll see in a couple of wars coming up that it, you know, kind of makes a little bit of a difference. But here, you know, the plan is just to push into a special 2. We'll get the dex on the special 2, and, you know, just kind of, you know, just wear them down. You know, this isn't, you know, Ironheart's not one of those that typically, unless you're throwing a lot of special 2s, that you can get some big sexy yellow numbers on. But it is just a slow wear down of the defender. You know, between either the incinerates or the ruptures, they don't do any real big damage by themselves. It's just a lot of small damage that adds up over time. And now we get a fight that we haven't taken in a while, and that is Dust on this node. It's been a while since someone's put Dust there. I've gotten a lot of other defenders. You know, Dust has kind of lost some of her flavor there and is put up on the mini now that is a very similar node, because I think she is a little bit tougher there. So here, You know, we've fought this fight before. You can see the plan is we're just going to make sure we've got good clean parries. We're going to try to keep the debuffs off of us as much as possible. And you'll see here in this fight, I am a little rusty on it there. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I was hitting into her block. You know, I ended up making her completely unstoppable the rest of the fight. Or unblockable, sorry. So here, you know, now we've got to fight her. So we can't get any parries in. We got to get good clean dexes on the special 2, which I happen to get one there, which is very, very nice. A lot of cases I will let that first part hit me and then dex, so I just had to work on the timing there. Here, we're going to go into a special one, and thankfully, like I said, those incinerates don't do any big damage, but they do enough damage over time that I was able to get out of that fight fairly clean, even with the mess up on my part. Alright, now it's time for a little bit of a lukecage showcase. It's been a while since we've used Papa Luke in war, and this first fight up against Destroyer, Luke is kind of, well, built to take on Destroyer. You know, with the exhaustion's reversing power gain, it turns off a lot of Destroyer's kit. When I fight Destroyer using Luke, I do not push to special 2s. The special 2 decks can get dicey from time to time, so here I'm just saying, you know what? Let's just bait special 1s. We can reverse the power gain eventually and, well, you know, take care of it. And at this point in the fight, I completely forgot that he's stun immune after he throws a special. So I kind of get myself in a little bit of trouble here. I'm backed into the corner. Fortunately, Luke's got an invulnerability. Fortunately, Luke is a little tanky. And fortunately, he pushed me to a special 3 so I can get back out of that corner and kind of regain my composure and regain control of the fight a little bit. So here, now we just want to bait a special 1. Thank you. And you can see there from the node, you know, this is Rich Get Richer, but he's not gaining any power. Now we bait out heavy, we get away from it this time. Now we're able to stack on some exhaustions, and now you can see his power just completely disappears. It is the most satisfying thing about using lukecage for this fight is, you know, once he throws a third special 1, and between that and the node, he's not going to throw another special. That you know, power bar just kind of melts for a bit, and you know, really makes this fight much easier. Now we just need to bait out another heavy. I could have parried him there, but you know what? I was just fighting at stun immune at that point, so you know, we got out of it. Not very clean, rough start, but a good recovery. And now we get a second fight with Luke here. We are going to be taking on this Enchantress on node 41. Not sure of the placement here. I kind of like her on this node. It, you know, doesn't bother me at all. There, you know, we get fortunate. She starts off with 3 of the heavy interrupt charges, which makes, you know, taking care of that much easier. And then unfortunately here, she does get an intercept charge, but her power bar is low enough. Now we are kind of rooted, which is fine. You know, I know the dex of her heavy simply because I end up having to do it a lot against the wall. There we get a nice intercept in. And of course, Enchantress is throwing special 1s left and right. And she gets the intercept yet again. Here, we're just going to come to dex. We're going to get the heavy counter. Now we just need to get another intercept. And we're going to do a little backdraft, and she plays right into it, which is nice. Now we're going to throw a special 2, you know, get that concussion up on there, you know, get her to her special 2, which is fine, which is where I want her. Now she does throw her special 2. Unfortunately, you know, it only got us to 19. There, we're at 20. We were still rooted, so I did throw the striker so that it would take the time off the root. Now we're kind of trying to block to keep her from throwing a special 1. Not a big deal. We got the heavy counter and the knockdown. So here, we're just going to do a heavy counter, and for our knockdown, we're going to throw another special 2. And we're just going to hold block, taking a lot of chip damage. You know, it's an Enchantress fight. It's going to get ugly at times. It's going to be a pain in the butt at times. And unfortunately here, we just get the heavy counter. Not the end of the world, as long as she throws the heavy. And she does. And now we're going to throw a special 1 with hopes of stunning her, and it does stun her, so we can go right in, and then we can do another combo. If we needed to, we could have gone into a striker, into another 5-hit combo, into a special 1, and finished her off, but we didn't need all that. And there you go. That is a full attack bonus takedown of Enchantress. And our final fight using lukecage is going to be this Mangog here, and well, this is a little bit of a tactical error using lukecage here. it was trying to kind of fit a square peg into a round hole. Wanted somebody that could try and take this fight, and I think maybe Luke could, but you can see there the power, and what you'll see in this fight is the power gain is just ungodly. And he's fortunately throwing special ones, but at the same time, I just can never get control of the power. The fight hasn't started poorly. Here, I want to push him to a special 3. Luke's got the invulnerability, so I'm just going to use that to my advantage. And here, I'm throwing special ones, hoping I can get some stuns, and I don't. So, he throws his special 3. Not the end of the world. Like I said, I'm invulnerable at this point. Luke's invulnerability will kick in. But the problem is, he's got a lot of health left. And my invulnerability takes a while to come back. So there, we get hit. Not a big deal. There, we're trying to throw in something before he throws that special. It doesn't happen. Now we stand up, and he gets the perfect stand-up intercept. I mean, that AI was right on top of that stand-up intercept. There, we throw out a striker trying to just get something in that would hit him. Now we push him to a special 2 again, and you know what? We've got to try to intercept. We miss the intercept, and this has just gone south very quick. So here, once again, we're going to try to get the stun loop going. Okay, so we got a stun in. Perfect. Now, can we get another one? We got another one. All right. Here, I kind of messed up. I should have done medium, medium, and then the 5-hit combo, and maybe we could have gotten back to a special 1 for another stun. Well, didn't work. So he does throw a special 3. Luke is tanky. And he does survive. There, I was late on the heavy counter, and then I did get a hit in. I wasn't really looking at it, but hey, maybe we can recover. Maybe there is a shot. All we need to do here is, somehow finish him off with 22%, down to 20, 19, 17, and that's a tanky mango eggnog. And the third special 3 of the fight is going to do in poor little cage. So could have fought that much better. If I would have thrown on an invuln boost in this fight, it wouldn't have mattered because I took a bunch of hits on a couple stand-up intercepts and things like that. So maybe, but Luke is not the ideal counter for that. But we're going to throw on a 40% revive here. We're going to go back in. He's only got like 19% health left. If I need more than 40% health to finish that off, I would be in trouble anyway. So here we go. We get the nice little clean parry. We get a 5-hit combo in. He's down to 13%. If he throws a special, great. If he doesn't, great. I don't really care. I've got my invulnerability if I need it. And then we just do a special 1. Finish him off. Not the best counter for that fight, but we got, through it okay. And our last fight up is going to be this Jean Grey on node 48. And I understand the placement here. It's got safeguard. She's got her own bubble shield. It's just going to make things slow. So we're going to be using Ironheart. It turns off a lot of Jean's kit. Don't have to worry about the reverse controls and all that kind of fun stuff. And, we're just going to stack on Incinerates and let those in the Bane do a good portion of the damage. Like I said before, the Incinerates don't do a lot, but if you can stack on enough of them, they really add up over time. And with that and the Bane, like I said, it's going to, kind of just slowly take that shield down and slowly take her down as well. The biggest thing that I've got to remember here is just don't parry. The nice thing is Jean does put on exhaustion debuffs, which are providing me some willpower healing. So all that chip damage I'm taking from her hitting in my block, from a little bit of the time when I don't get a good Bane transfer done, I'm just healing it all back up, which is, ideal in a fight like this. You're taking a lot of chip damage, you're taking a lot of, Bane damage from time to time, and it's just a matter of, just playing safe. The other nice thing is, when you don't have to worry about reverse controls, that special 2 is very easy to dex. And you can see here, I'm going to throw another special 1. We're stacking on Incinerates very quickly. She's up to 22 of them. If I could parry, I could get a lot more in there, but we're just doing, combos to push her ideally to the special 2. That's the one I prefer dexing. The special 1, not too hard to dex, but the special 2 is much easier. And you can see those Incinerates are now starting to really put in a lot of work. There's a lot of red numbers flying on. You don't see any of them that are big, but there are a lot that are going very, very quick. And, she's got 29 bleeds on her now, 30. Here we go. We do a 5-hit combo into a striker, into a medium combo. get that her up to the special 2. She's almost down. We're full yellow bar. Oh, I love this fight. You know, you could put her on this node every single war, and I would be very, very happy. 5-hit combo into a special 1. You know, we lost some incinerates there. We're only at 14 right now, but she's at 6%. I just need one more combo. And she throws a special 1, giving me that opening. And there we go. Oh, almost. And now there we go. Almost full yellow bar finish. And that's going to wrap up this war. And overall, I would say it was a very solid war. Aside from, you know, the thought of using lukecage for Mangog, probably won't do that again. Everything else went pretty much to plan. That brings the season total to 32 kills and 3 deaths. Normally, those deaths might sting, but hey, we're not a hardcore war alliance, and I'm here to have fun, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Always appreciate the support, and thanks for watching, and take care all.